What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV here. Arsenal 2, Tottenham 1 in an absolutely devastating defeat at the Emirates today. You saw from the first second of the game the way Spurs came into the game. It just wasn't right from the get-go, was it today, Sim? They completely shat on us for 90 minutes, pretty much. Apart from a few little moments here and there, you've got to say Arsenal, they played really well today and they were well-deserved winners. Mostly to our own detriment. I thought Spurs were absolutely toothless today, lacked desire, lacked quality, lacked passion, lacked anything that you need in North London derby to go ahead and get those 3 points, get even a draw, to be honest. I thought there were so many passengers on that pitch today. Matt Doherty, oh my days, he was a shocking performance from him. Time and time again, how many times did they get him behind him? How many times did they completely rinse him down our right-hand side? It was a joke, man. In that first half, the only times that they got in behind was behind him. It wasn't behind our left-hand side. Behind our right-hand side, it was so weak. And you could see that Aurier needed to come on or needed to start the game. Everyone could see Aurier needed to start the game before the game, and he didn't. Yeah. Matt Doherty started, and it was our worst fears imagined. It was completely our worst fears imagined. That midfield display, nowhere near good enough today. Partey completely dominated Pierre-Emile Højbjerg today. Ndombele, nowhere to be seen today. I thought he had a poor performance. When you look at our attacking line, completely anonymous. Harry Kane, anonymous. Gareth Bale, anonymous. Heung-min Son goes off early. The only two players that you could say showed any passion or any desire on that pitch were Lucas Moura and Eric Lamela. And the rest of them were complete passengers, and it's completely not good enough. But you got to hold your hands up, because Arsenal on the day wanted it more. They were the better side. They showed much more quality. But yeah, look, it is what it is. You got to look at Jose Mourinho, because he has to take a lot of the blame today for the way the team set up, the way the team executed their game plan. You got to look at Jose Mourinho. You could say it was completely wrong to start Matt Doherty today, and his in-game management as well today. The substitutions I thought were atrocious. Eric Lamela was a good sub, coming on for Heung-min Son, as he was probably our best player today. But the other side, Moussa Sissoko coming on. Why? Why did you bring Moussa Sissoko on? I get it, to get a bit of extra man in midfield to stamp our authority on the game, but they score within 2 seconds of Sissoko coming on, and the game's done. We didn't even see Sissoko on that pitch today after he came on. It was a joke, man. And, Jose's got to take a lot of the blame. The players got to take a lot of the blame. And it was just a complete shit day at the office from start to finish. And from the start of that game, you just never thought we were going to get anything out of this game. Harry Kane hits the post from that free kick. He scores as well in the last few minutes offside, where you thought maybe we can, get something against the run of play like we did with that absolutely sensational Eric Lamela goal in the first half. You thought maybe we could get something against the run of play and save the game. But look, it wasn't to be. Arsenal were much the better side on the day. And at the end of the day, you just got to hold up your hands and say, we were not good enough today. But you got to hold Jose Mourinho culpable for sure. And also the players for the attitude they showed on the pitch.
The approach that we took to the game was so passive and so reactionary. It was so frustrating to watch in that first half, and I wasn't sure what the approach was, because for the first 25 minutes we're completely passive, letting Arsenal run off us. They're getting down our left time after time. Bale's not tracking back. Doherty's getting rinsed time after time on the right hand side. I don't know. We all knew this was going to happen with Bale and Doherty up against Tierney and whoever they had on the left hand side. We knew they were going to struggle. We knew they were going to struggle against that left hand side. We knew Bale was going to let Tierney have a free rein, and we knew that if that was going to happen, we needed someone who could adjust to that, who has the physical requirements to cover a few positions, because that's the balance to risk to reward you get. But having Doherty in that position just meant he was hung out high and dry, and he couldn't cope with it, whereas Aurier probably could have coped with it, and that was a big tactical error from Jose Mourinho, I felt. I wasn't sure what the tactics were, because when Lamela came on, he started pressing them. He started pressing the centre backs and pressing the midfielders. So what? Where's everyone else pressing? That's exactly where we've got most of our joy of the past 2 games. Pressing the opposition hard at the pitch. The pressing was completely non-existent. We were so passive. We were letting the back line pass it out the back. We were letting Xhaka and Partey just spray passes left and right. We weren't getting close to them whatsoever. It was so disappointing to see, especially considering how we've played in the past few games. In Ndombele, Ndombele was not on it at all today. He was completely anonymous. He was completely overdone by Partey and Xhaka. He couldn't get a foothold in the game. Whenever he got the ball, you expect him to like do one of those, passing in between the lines or commit plays. He didn't do that at all.
Once.
At all. He didn't do it at all, and he got hauled off.
The only time we saw any Ndombele quality is when he went on that mazy run, the beginning of the second half.
Yeah,
and
won a free kick
5 minutes later.
Yeah, I mean, I think we did take the lead. If people forget, we did actually take the lead for an unbelievable Rabona from Lamela. One of the great North London derby goals. Was an absolutely special goal, but it didn't mean anything because it was against a run of play. We didn't deserve that goal when we scored it, and we couldn't even hold out till half time. We conceded just before half time. Again, Doherty getting absolutely roasted on the left hand side by Tierney. Ball comes in the box, and Odegaard with a shot which deflected in, and completely deserved. It was 1-1 going into half. I'm thinking, okay, it's been one half. Maybe we can change it up a bit, and we can and we can get back in the game in the second half and get them on the front foot. We started the second half with a bit more pressing, and you thought, okay, maybe we'll change our tune, but we reverted back into it.
5 minutes
in, we reverted back into it, and I think Mourinho was looking at that, thinking we need more energy in the team, and we need to change things up a bit. So he takes off Bale and puts Sissoko on, and I kind of understood it, but I think it was completely wrong. I think it was completely wrong because as soon as we concede that second goal, that changes completely moot because you can't get back in the game with a pivot of Sissoko and Højbjerg. It's never going to happen. It's never going to happen. The only way Højbjerg and Sissoko work is if you're winning. You have something to hold on to, and they can cover a lot of ground. It's never going to make a difference when you're losing 2-1. And as soon as we lost 2-1, there was no creativity in the centre. There was no breaking the lines.
Even at 1-1, trying to go and get the winner, it's not going to work.
And it's never going to work. He probably did it so we don't concede any more goals. But then a few minutes later, we're changing Ndombele for Dele, which whatever, and Ndombele was was disappointing, but I would have kept him on in the pivot, but whatever.
What do you make of the penalty?
The penalty, I think Sanchez is unlucky, but I think he's rash. He dives in.
Is it a foul?
Yeah, I don't think it's a foul. I think if it isn't given, it's not overturned. I think it was a tight decision. I think Lacazette gets lucky that Sanchez dives in. Sanchez was very rash for diving in, given that Lacazette completely mishit the shot, and he didn't need to dive in.
He completely missed the
ball,
and then Sanchez comes in.
Didn't need to dive in. I think he completely got Sanchez screwed up. Completely screwed up in that situation because he dived in when he didn't need to. But having said that, I didn't make that much contact with Lacazette, so I think he's unlucky from that sense. But I think they're right to stick with the on-field decision. I think if it wasn't given, they wouldn't have overturned it for a penalty. And I think the fact that it was given, I think it was right to stick with it. And that's really frustrating. I think Lloris has to take a big bit of responsibility for the goal because he's straight from the goal kick, gives it to Pepe, and he quickly plays it to Lacazette, who wins the penalty. And I think Lloris has to take a big bit of blame for that. And I think to get back, the best we looked, Lamela gets sent off in the end. He gets Scott sent off after a ridiculous hand in the face of Tierney, which 9 times out of 10 you'll get booked for it. He had the ball, he had control of the ball, and all he had to do was pass it or release the ball. What he does is he sticks his arm out and puts it in Tierney's face, and he gets a second yellow, which I thought the first yellow, he wasn't a yellow because I thought he won the ball, but whatever. When you're on a yellow, you don't do such ridiculous, stupid things like that, Lamela, and I loved his performance before that because I thought he was the only one taking it to Arsenal. But I thought he got the best of him because he stuck his arm out. Tierney goes down, and it's always going to be a yellow card in that situation. And then from that point on, we actually looked better with 10 men than we did with 11.
It was actually mad how outclassed we actually got today, but we were always in the game because one little chance and we could have got back into.
We were always in the game, but I think we showed with 10 men. That if we would have a bit more ambition with 11 men, how much better we could have been. And I thought the tactics were really poor. I thought Bale was completely anonymous. Son obviously pulled up.
All our attacking players were anonymous apart from Lamela.
Son pulled up with 20 minutes in, and he's gone off injured, and that's a real worry. But obviously Lamela came on and did well, he's got sent off. So he's also out for next game. So Son and Lamela are very likely to be out for next game. Look, last 20 minutes, no, not last 20, I would say last 10 minutes, we hit the posts. Kane had that cross, which just avoided Dele, could have had a chance. But other than that, it was easy for Arsenal because they knew we had 10 men. It was always going to be more difficult for us. But we didn't take the game to them. That's what most important. That's the most disappointing thing for me. We didn't press high. We didn't try and force Arsenal into mistakes. We just reverted into our shell. We allowed them possession. We allowed them to play their football. And we allowed them chances. And we got unstuck because of it. We we've seen before. We've seen with other games and other teams that if you press Arsenal, if you push, force them into mistakes, they can be got at and they can be forced into mistakes. We didn't do that today. We very much were looking for a clean sheet and looking to be defensively strong first and foremost. And to have those tactics with the players on the pitch was really, really disappointing. And I think Mourinho has to take a lot of responsibility for that.
It was like our starting 11 with the players on the pitch said one thing, and the way we applied it said something completely different. And it's just not on. And you've got to say, Arsenal, they just wanted it way more than us today. And you could see that on the pitch. And that is completely inexcusable. It really is. And we can't be going into these games and just strolling around like we were. It's a complete and utter disgrace to play like that in a North London derby. It was very similar to the way we played against Chelsea a few months ago. It really was. And like we said, just completely inexcusable. And Jose's got to take a long, hard look at himself and look at the team and figure out why this happens in these kind of games, because it's happening way too often. And yeah, that's all I'm going to say on that.
Well, in terms of the league positions, we're still 7th. We are 6 points behind 4th with a game in hand. But with West Ham playing Man United later, it might be a different story. So we'll have to wait and see where things stand after that game. But look, all is not completely lost because we won the last 3 games. But it makes it a lot harder now, given the fact as well, in the last 8 games we've played against top half teams, we've lost all 8 of them. So that's really telling stat, and it's really disappointing.
And all 8 of them, look at the game against Leicester, the game against Chelsea, it's just the same performances as that.
Insipid. So poor. I think Mourinho have to go back to the drawing board again in terms of how he approaches this kind of game, because it was so poor and it was so lethargic and it was so insipid that it was always going to go one way. As soon as Arsenal took the lead, it was always going to go one way. I never saw us getting back in the game. We could have luckily got a goal with the Kane free kick which hit the post, but other than that, it was nothing in it.
Even when we go 1-0 up, it's completely against the run of play.
It was completely undeserved, and we got what we deserved today.
You reap what you sow.
And that's
exactly what happened to us today.
So poor.
But look, that is it. We go on to the post-match fan show now. Thanks everyone for watching. Like, subscribe and comment. And as always,
come on you Spurs.